Welcome to DrBoyceTV.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and today I wanted to talk to you quickly about the racial wealth gap. I just saw this interview that I'm going to share, and it looks like it's with a professor that's a very smart guy by the name of William Darity, if I'm not mistaken. I got to double check that. And another professor at Howard. Have her name, but she's far more famous than me because she's been like in the media and everything. I've been in the media too, but not in the same capacity as her. And I think that these two individuals are pro-black in their own way. I think that they are smart people, good people, etc. And so I want to just say that in the beginning, so that when I rail into this interview, really vehemently disagree with what some of what I heard, you'll know that I'm doing this from a place of love and respect, not from a place of vitriol and anger, but I have to take a position of truth. It has to do with the racial wealth gap. And as you guys know, my doctorate's in finance. That's what I got my PhD in. All I did was study wealth and finance. And I've taught many different people from different backgrounds. I've taught white kids, Jewish kids, Chinese people, African American people, all kinds of stuff, right? And I was on the faculty at Syracuse University for 12 or 13. I got to double check, but I believe it was actually 12 at least. I want to say 13. It's toward the end. It was a little iffy there. It was a little weird. But anyway, I was there. And also, I was the only African American on the planet to get a PhD in finance when I got the degree. And so, Darty, if I'm not mistaken, I think his field is, it might be, let me see. Let me see here. Yeah, I think he's a Duke. Um, and I can't remember what his doctorate's in. Let me see here. I want to say, and he's a good guy. I like the guy a lot. He talks a lot about systematic inequality, and I believe his doctorate's in economics. I have to double check this just to be sure. So I just want to make this clear when I start because I get passionate about this. I just want to make it clear that I respect him and also the sister that he was interviewing with. This is a sister at Howard. That this is not me trying to be nasty or negative, but it's something that just burns my butt because the racial wealth gap is an issue that I think is really important. And it's very important for us to not have limiting conversations about the gap, but it's important for us to be honest. So let me kind of go into sort of beginning with the facts about the racial wealth gap. The racial wealth gap is big, meaning that if you define the racial wealth gap as that gap in wealth between white people and black people, the gap is real. The gap is massive. African Americans are very, very rich, actually. If you took the spending power of African American people in America, we literally have more spending power than actually is 4 times greater than the gross domestic product of the richest country in Africa, which is South Africa. If you took the top 6 or 7 African countries and added them all up, it would not match, or it would be close. It'd be neck and neck with the total spending power of African American people. So African American people have a lot to work with. We just don't have as much as white people, and I think that's important to understand in terms of what your economic potential is. Also, one of the things that's understand is that economic thinking is heavily driven by how you view yourself. It's driven by what you perceive to be your possibility. If you are a limited thinker, meaning that you believe that certain things are not possible for you, then certain things will never be possible for you. My wife, she's a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work, Dr. Alicia Watkins. She's an expert on trauma as well as financial therapy, things like that, financial anxiety. And one of the things that we have found is that when you talk about the subconscious mind, when you get into this space where you are colonized people talking about the racial wealth gap, you have to be careful not to have colonized conversations. And so, with this, I'm going to share with you guys. I'm actually clicking around trying to get my buttons right, but I want to share my screen and show you all this interview. And I should have the sister's name. And if you see her name, say her name in the chat. And if you see her, say her name in the chat so I can give her full credit because I don't want to be like out here hating or nothing like that. But because I get enough, I get accused of that enough. When I come out and I'm honest, people think, oh, you just be hating. And I'm not hating. I'm just trying to be truth. All right. So here is the interview. I'm going to share this with you. And I need your help also in letting me know that you can see, because I want to put this up here and I want to kind of give a polite rebuttal of what I heard in this interview. So I'm going to play this. Give me a yes in the chat if you can hear the interview okay when I play it. So here it goes.
Does marriage close the racial wealth gap for Black Americans?
Apparently not. We know now that the
Okay, you know what? I don't think you guys can hear it. Let me try this. Let me try to fix my audio real quick. Okay, come on. What we doing? Here we go.
The
Let's try.
average white family
Okay, let me try it one more time. Sorry, guys. Here we
that's a
go.
single parent family has about 2 times the wealth of the.
And actually, let me reshare. Y'all know how I am with technology. I'll be messing everything up. So let me share my screen one more time and see if I can do this the right way because I totally messed it up. So forgive me. Thank you for your patience. Here it goes. This is on my Instagram. By the way, my Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance. So here is the interview.
Does marriage close the racial wealth gap for Black Americans?
Apparently not. We know now that the average white family that's a single parent family has about 2 times the wealth of the average Black family that has 2 parents.
So cross that off.
Yeah.
Does going to college close the racial wealth gap for Black Americans?
Well, I'm definitely a fan of going to college, but it
As
doesn't
am I.
close the racial wealth gap. A Black head of household with a college degree has 2/3 of the net worth of a white head of household who never finished high school.
Cross that off.
Yeah.
What about savings? Black people should just stop buying Jordans and save their money. And if they did that, if they saved all their money and were better savers, they could close the racial wealth gap.
Right. So if Black people weren't so attracted to bling, we'd eliminate the racial wealth gap. Well, the evidence suggests that that's not true either. If anything, if we were to take into account the income of a household, Black households save as much as white households. And in fact, in some income categories, Black households actually have a higher savings rate than white households.
So if the actual facts don't back up this notion that Black people just need to change our behavior and we could eliminate the wealth gap between Black and white Americans, why are these myths so persistent?
Well, I think part of it is ignorance. I think that people have misperceptions about a number of things, and some of these misperceptions are about American history.
Okay, I think her name isn't it Nicole, is it Nicole Hannah Jones? Is that her name? I believe that's her name. And Nicole Hannah Jones, she's smart. Again, smart lady. I like her. I just have to jump in because they're kind of jumping in my territory in terms of the stuff that I did for many years. I sat with some of the best financial thinkers from the University of Chicago. My entire dissertation committee was from the University of Chicago, which is kind of like the Vatican of finance. And so these are individuals that just really are really good at understanding how America works and where the money's located. And so I'm going to speak to you from a position that's probably not gonna that's not going to sound familiar to some people because it's literally from a position of thinking as an economic winner. And I think that to some extent, we got to be real careful about the fact that we have certain preconditions that lead us to believe that when you talk about breaking down the racial wealth gap, that we are trained to think as losers. And I'll say this, people like A.G. Gaston, he was an economic winner. You had Black Wall Street and the individuals that participated in that, they were economic winners. A lot of you in here are economic winners. And I dare ask you all, how many of you right now have a stock portfolio? Give me a yes in the chat. Every single investor in the room, how many of you have a stock portfolio? Give me a yes. A yes if you are. How many investors do we have in the room? All right. So if you are an investor and you have a stock portfolio, I want you to notice one thing about that interview. Notice that she said, what if African Americans were saving their money, or is it savings that's stopping African Americans from building wealth? Notice she did not say the word, and she said the word saving. She did not say the word investing. There's a big difference between saving and investing. The difference between saving and investing is like the difference between owning a car in your garage versus getting in the damn car and driving it down the road. Would you agree with me that there's a difference between buying a car and putting it in my driveway versus me getting a car that actually takes me down the road? Do you understand? And I want you to understand this because there's a concept called investment vehicle. Investment vehicle is a perfect term because a vehicle is something that travels you from point A to point B. A vehicle helps you move from where you are to where you want to get to. And so why would you talk about owning cars without talking about turning on the engine and driving the damn thing down the street? So the fact that she says savings and doesn't even say the word investing, well, that's about 70% of your problem right there. Because do you know that if you go look at the research, it shows beyond any reasonable doubt, just save that money. So I ask you, dear Black people, why is this not more of our conversation in the community? Or is it like old head thinking? Because I'm going to tell you what, when we do the All Black National Convention, there's going to be another great event happening down the street called Invest Fest. And those brothers that do Invest Fest, I know they agree with me. I know they agree. Kind of the OG in the game. And I love those guys. And I guarantee there's a reason why they didn't call it Savings Fest. They didn't call it, well, let's all work for white people fest. They didn't call it all let's pray to Jesus and hope for the best fest. They didn't call it let's all vote for Democrats fest. They call it Invest Fest because investing is the number one driver. Somebody says my audio's out. Oh my gosh. Is my audio out? Oh, okay. Tell me if my audio's back. Is my audio back? Oh, crap. That sucks. That's so bad. So I was sitting here going crazy, getting all animated. All right. So can you hear me now? Let me know if you can hear me now. Give me a yes, because I'm all paranoid because I think my audio was gone for a minute. When I get hyped, my audio goes out. That's what somebody said. Okay. So let me know if you can hear me now. Can you guys hear me now? Give me a yes if you can hear me now. Am I there? Am I in and out? Am I muffled? It's breaking up, intermittent, mic is bad. Okay. Yeah, so you know what, guys? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm probably gonna have to go ahead and end this, I guess, because it sounds like I'm choppy or my audio's not working. So I'm gonna have to go fix my audio issue. Let me try something, one more thing. Let me try one more thing. All right. Okay, so I'm hitting this button now. Can you guys hear me now? Let me know if you can hear me now. Can you hear me now? Okay, somebody said yes, but good. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna try it this way. I'm really irritated right now because that's what that's what the CIA does. They like to jump in and interfere when we talking about some real Black power here. All right, so let me see. Let me check here and see what my. Let's try this. All right, so can you guys hear me now? Let me. Hold on. Okay. Testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. Can you guys hear me now? Am I coming through okay now? I hope I'm coming through on some level because I'm really, really irritated right now. All right, so let me explain to you, if you can hear me, let me explain to you what the issue is. The issue is that if you notice in this interview, she didn't say a single word about investing. She only said saving. Saving is not a way to build wealth. That's the first thing to understand. The second thing is, if you notice, they talked about some things that I agree with. I agree with marriage. They talked about things like going to college. And all the studies show that marriage and going to college doesn't even build wealth for white people. So it's certainly not going to build wealth for Black people. And what I think you have to understand is that there's nowhere in the research where they say that the best way to close the racial wealth gap is by simply doing what white people told you to do. And so what white people tell you to do is go to school, go to college, go $100,000 in debt so you can be drowned in student loan debt. They tell you to go get a job working for white people. And then they tell you to hope for the best because every election you vote for the Democrats because Democrats take care of poor people. And we all assume Black people are automatically going to be poor. And one of one of the challenges you have to understand is that there is a type of white liberal racism that is absolutely positively designed to keep you in your place. In fact, if you really think about it like this, in this country, there's absolutely no way on earth you will ever have more economic power than your boss. So if you are assuming that the best way for Black people to close the racial wealth gap with white people is for all Black people to go get jobs working for white people after they spent all their money at a white university, then you're going to be flawed. It's not going to work. Do you understand? So the only way to close the racial wealth gap is to do what wealthy people do. There is no whites only sign on the stock market. I talk about the stock market every day. That is my area of expertise. And I can tell you, I know thousands, if not millions of black people that have followed me who are now who now have more wealth than the average white person in America, not because they were especially gifted, not because they were super intelligent, not because somebody put a silver spoon in their mouth. They are as wealthy as most white people because they simply did one simple thing. They put money into the stock market and they allowed their money to grow. Now I'm going to pause for a minute and let you guys and ask you guys really quickly, can you all hear me? I'm really, really irritated that you couldn't hear what I was saying earlier. I was talking for a while and I got really heated, and it sucks that I was talking to myself the entire time. And one of the things that I mentioned is that when we do the All Black National Convention, the Invest Fest is going to be right down the street. And there's a reason that they call it Invest Fest, and they did not call it the Savings Fest. The reason they don't call it the Savings Fest is because everybody who knows anything about money knows that saving is not the pathway to wealth. Saving will not get you there. Also, working for white people, if all of us just insist on going to big white universities and going to 100,000 in debt and then getting a job working for white people, you will never be equal to white people because you can't be equal to your boss. That is the hierarchy. So in order for you to become equal or to exceed that which is ahead of you, you're going to have to make an adjustment. Your behavior will have to shift. And it doesn't mean that white people don't need to change their behavior. They certainly do. It doesn't mean that the racial wealth gap is not real. It certainly is. It doesn't mean that they didn't spend 400 years stealing all your shit. They definitely did. There's proof of that. But at the end of the day, I think that one of the questions about Black self-determination is this. Are we in the false belief that the only pathway for us to have any sort of freedom or success is to simply sit back and pray and march and scream and yell and hope that white people change their behavior? That, unfortunately, is very limited thinking. What it does is it puts a roof over your head and puts a ceiling above you, and you can only go past that ceiling. That ceiling is controlled mostly by white liberals. Now, the conservatives have their own issues as well. We can talk about that later, but I will say at the end of the day, that conversation really concerned me because it almost sounded like the racial wealth gap can never be closed unless white people change their behavior. I don't think begging white people to change their behavior is going to work. And I don't think that it's worth our time. I think that if they ask you and they say, what's it going to take to get you guys to vote for us? Then you can say, you need to give us reparations. 100%. I agree. And that's where I stand. That's why I voted for Cornel West in the last election. You didn't scare me into voting for Kamala or whatever because of the fear of Donald Trump, because I don't operate on fear. I operate on desire. I operate on things that are actually going to work. So a lot of people got very upset with me because I wouldn't vote for someone who refuses to pay me reparations, because it's interesting. It's a very interesting contradiction where on one hand, they're saying we can't move forward economically until white people agree to do it, but they won't do it. But yet every single time you got to go give white people your support, liberal white people in particular, even though they're not doing the thing that you know that they need to do in order for you to move forward economically. Pick a side. If you want them to pay reparations or make an adjustment, then tell them, if you make your adjustment, I'll vote for you. But don't give them the vote and then say, well, I'm mad because you didn't do what I needed you to do. If people don't do what you need them to do, then you don't support them. You ain't getting nothing from me if I can't get something from you. So here's what my position is on the racial wealth gap. Every single family listening right now, and give me a yes if you can hear me. Just let me know if you can hear what I'm saying, because I'm really, really paranoid now because this stupid thing with the microphone and all that. But I had to get this message out. Let me know you can hear me, and also let me know if you got the core of the message. The core of the message is really simple. The greatest wealth driver in America is the stock market. The greatest wealth driver is not your black job. The greatest wealth driver is not doing what white people told you to do. The greatest wealth driver is not you saving your money and never buying Air Jordans again. The greatest wealth driver is when you own shares of NVIDIA, which made me $100,000 in one pop. The greatest wealth driver is when you buy shares of Microsoft, which made me another $30,000 yesterday. The greatest wealth driver is when you own pieces of the S&P 500, which is dumping trillions of dollars into the pockets of investors every day. And the biggest thing that I need you to understand as a finance professor, I have a whole PhD in this stuff. I don't know why nobody believes me, is that the stock market is the key. That is the secret sauce, baby. That's what's going to get you where you want to get to. And if you love your kids and you don't want them suffering under the heavy-handed grip of white supremacy and mistreatment in America, you will invest like hell for those kids. When you go buy the Jordans for the baby, you're going to buy the baby some stock. When you go spend $1,000 on Christmas gifts, you spend $2,000 on stock. When the baby is 0 years old, -5 years old, 5 years before they're born, you start investing on behalf of the family and watch how your wealth grows. And I've shown you all the math. It's very simple, straightforward math. I've shown you that any person of any income level, if they had invested just $150 a month, $5 a day, not even enough to buy a Popeye's chicken value meal, and they did that over a 30-year period, they would have hundreds of thousands of dollars in liquid wealth. If you go to the average white person in America, most white people do not have hundreds of thousands of dollars in liquid wealth. Everywhere I go, every time I go to Invest Fest and when I go to the All Black National Convention, I run into dozens, if not hundreds of black people who have more wealth than the average white person. And it's not because Jesus came in from the Democratic Party and decided to bless them with a silver spoon. It's because they changed their behavior. They changed their behavior. So one of the things I need us to stop doing is stop believing the myths. What I need us to stop doing is stop listening to people who are not trained in any of this. What I need us to do is stop believing that the only pathway you have to success is getting permission from white folks by working for white folks. Again, you will never have the same amount of power as your boss. So if millions of black people think that the pathway to closing the racial wealth gap is all of us run out the door and go work for white people, then I don't know what freaking planet you're from. It does not work in a capitalist society. We can debate whether capitalism is the right system. I don't even think that it is. We can debate whether or not they owe us reparations. I actually agree that they do. We can debate all day whether Democrats or Republicans are going to do this, that, and the other. I'm probably more Democrat than I am Republican. But at the end of the day, I'll be damned if you're going to tell me that as a black man or as a black woman in this country, you don't have some say in the fate of you and your family. That is a defeatist message. That is a loser message. And I don't think that that's what Doherty and Hannah meant to do, but that's what it comes off as, because what you're doing is you are feeding and breeding hopelessness and telling people that the only solution is the political solution, that my personal decision making, my behavior, if you watch the interview, and I got to play it again. If you watch the interview, she literally comes to this crazy conclusion, not crazy, I don't want to be mean, this conclusion I don't understand, that says that even if we change our behavior, we can't close the racial wealth gap. Please stop it. Don't you dare tell me that my behavior doesn't have a role in my outcomes. You can't tell me that if I read more books and I study more and I sacrifice more and I invest more and I make smart decisions and I don't go blow my money at the club, that my life is not going to be better than a person who did the exact opposite. Stop that. So again, I'm not mad at them. I want to be 100% clear, and I'm sorry about my audio issues. I got janky equipment apparently. I don't know what was going on with that, but I really want the clearest message to be out there. Stock market participation is the #1 wealth driver in America. Black Americans are not the only ones who are screwed by this economy by being tricked into excessive consumerism. White people are getting tricked into it too. So they're tricking away their wealth like crazy too. They're tricking away their income. There are millions of white people who are living paycheck to paycheck too, because they're not that smart with money either. There's nothing special and super and amazing and extraordinary about them that makes them any better than you could be with your family. Lots of black people actually are doing better things than white people when it comes to the preservation of their resources. My grandmother took care of 4 kids, by herself for all those years and never had a financial problem, didn't have any debt, credit cards paid off, perfect credit, all that stuff. The only thing my grandmother was missing was stock market participation. If my grandmother had been buying stock consistently the same way she was giving money to the Lord at her church, if she took the same money she was tithing to the pastor and then put a tithe to the family and put that money in the stock market over a 50-year period, I would have been born a millionaire. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Do you hear what I am saying? Even if my grandmother had blindly closed her eyes and just picked stocks, just pick S&P 500 companies, just blindly put the money in there, I would be a millionaire right now. So what I need you to do is I need you, everybody, if you can spell it, type the word millionaire in the chat. Put the word millionaire in the chat. Because I can't talk for the rest of these Negroes. I can't talk for everybody. I can't convince everybody to even hear what I'm saying because they think I'm too radical or whatever because I'm not good at doing what people tell me to do. I'm too smart to do that. I know too much. So I can't help everybody, but I want to support you. A lot of you have already understand. A lot of you get what I'm saying. I'm probably preaching to the choir for a lot of you. So I want you to put the word millionaire in the chat because you're going to have millionaire children. You're going to have millionaire grandchildren. If you are consistent and you make consistent sacrifices, there's a book by David Bach called The Automatic Millionaire. And what David Bach talks about, without regard to race, is that there is a quiet army of hundreds of thousands of people who become millionaires, not by getting a record deal, not by signing with the NBA, not because they got a check for reparations. They become millionaires because they make a consistent, quiet sacrifice where they're taking, say, 10, 15% of their income, plopping it into the S&P 500. So when Mark Zuckerberg's making money, they're making money. When Google is making money, they're making money. When Coca-Cola's making money, they're making money. And as these companies grow, their bank account grows. And before you know it, when they die, they're leaving over $1 million worth of assets. And the biggest lie, the biggest piece of propaganda that gets spread is that these people were lucky. They were lucky. It ain't got nothing to do with the sacrifices. They just got lucky. It ain't got nothing to do with the fact that they didn't spend their money like idiots. They were just lucky. It ain't got nothing to do with the fact that they didn't fall for the okie doke. Oh, they were just lucky. It ain't got nothing to do with the fact that they sent their kids to college but didn't have them go deep in debt. They just got lucky. It ain't got nothing to do with the fact that he quit the job to go start his own business. Oh, he got lucky. It got nothing to do with the fact that he put his money in solid companies instead of going out and blowing it on stupid investments. He got lucky, right? Everybody wants to tell you that you got lucky. And that's insanity to me. That's ridiculous. There's no growth in that ideology. I want to know the formula to fix this. I don't want to be the white man's punk my whole life. I don't like oppression. I don't like anybody telling me that I can't be whatever I need to be for me and my family and me and my wife. So I think that in general, the winner's mentality is a mentality that we're going to have to embrace if we're going to win. Everybody ain't ready for that. Some people are going to just find a reason to complain about what I said as opposed to actually trying to hear it. And I can't help those individuals. I'm only here to talk to those who are at least willing to consider what I'm saying. So again, no disrespect to Hannah Nicole Jones, great scholar. No disrespect to William Doherty, great guy, love his work. But at the end of the day, finance and investing and wealth building, that's what I know. That's all I study, like with a fine-tooth microscope. And you can literally sort out the data in terms of who has money and who doesn't. Take race out of the equation if you want to, and literally say, oh, people who invest in the stock market have a 90% chance of 90% greater chance of having wealth than people who don't. So that makes sense now, right? So just do the basics. Don't overthink it. It's easy. You just need time. It happens over time. It doesn't happen overnight. And that's why some people don't believe me. So anyway, I'm done. I'm out of here. Thank you for putting up with the audio issues. If that happens again, if y'all can just give me like 2 minutes of patience while I fix the mic. I got to yelling. I probably broke the damn thing. But anyway, I'm gonna go. If you are not listed for our free morning class, I teach this stuff every single morning for free. You can go to you can text the word morning to the number 87948. So text morning to 87948. You can join our Monday in the morning class, and also drboyceelevate.com. If you go there, you can get some free resources there. In addition to that, we're having the All Black National Convention in Atlanta. It's right down the street from InvestFest, so you get a chance to go to both conferences if you want to. It's literally going to be tens of thousands of Black people, intelligent Black people, all gathered together, literally pursuing wealth and power. So even though everybody doesn't agree with what we're saying, some people think we're radical because we're not following what other people tell us to do, but that's okay. We're okay with being ahead of our time because, baby, we out here building the future. We ain't sitting back waiting for nobody. We're not waiting for Superman. We ain't sitting here being oppressed. We're not sitting here hoping and praying and believing that voting for a politician is going to fix it. We're fixing it ourselves. We are the builders. We are the leaders. We are the winners. Your kids are going to be the billionaires and trillionaires of the next generation. Let's go get it done. That's how we do. All right. So God bless you guys. Have a great day. Thank you so much for listening. And if you want to join us at the convention, you can go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. The tickets will not be on sale after tomorrow. So you might want to go there now. All right. Love you guys. Have a great day. Please hit the thumbs up button on your way out. And someone says the name the book again. It was called The Automatic Millionaire by David Bach. And my book is called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It's 10 simple steps any family can apply that will build massive amounts of generational wealth very, very easily where your money grows in your sleep. So feel free to go to drboycebooks.com if you want to take a look, drboycebooks.com. So we're not just teaching ourselves, we're teaching the whole community and anybody that wants to listen, because no matter how much people tell you that it's not possible for you to get out of this, there is a way out. You just have to change your behavior. You cannot just simply sit around doing what white people tell you to do, and you can't do what a lot of black people are telling you to do. So hopelessness is not a solution. We have to solve the problem. We can solve it. It's right in front of us. We just have to apply it consistently. So God bless you guys. Have a great day. Thank you so much for listening, and sorry about